this is the 7-year anniversary of Destiny. We're gonna talk about that for a little bit because yeah, 7 years, man, is a long time for this. I don't know, like I was never like an MMO guy, and like it was just one of those things where like, oh well, this franchise I like, there'll be a sequel in about 2 to 3 years, right? Like Halo was like that, Gears was like that, Zelda's kind of like that. Like I just was like, oh well, I'm done with this version of the game, there'll be a sequel soon. And like Destiny was really the first time I actually jumped into a game where it was like, oh, I need to keep playing this because things are always happening and changing, and you know, it was my first taste of like what an MMO-ish game was like, you know. And uh, what do you remember about Destiny launching? Like, I mean, pre-launch, alpha type stuff. Like, what? I mean, we're just going to talk about our 7-year history with Destiny, I guess.
So I played the alpha on my PlayStation 4. I think that I've only played it on I don't think I ever played it on like the previous gen.
Yeah, like 360,
system.
PS3.
I don't think I was a 360 PS3 person. I'm pretty sure I only played it on PS4 because I can tell you for sure because the alpha is still in my store, or like my like game downloads page.
Yeah.
And I remember playing that mission on Mars a lot, where you the guy that was like what the fuck was his name? He had like, it would shoot like the rockets nonstop at you, and you hide behind.
Yeah,
the
Valis,
the pallet of material or whatever it was. You just basically hide back there where all the end. Like he was such a sponge.
Yeah.
And I remember playing that level and being like, I don't know if I like this, because again, like I was like a Halo person through and through. Like that was my real relationship with Bungie. Anything that I've experienced with Bungie was basically Halo adjacent, being like I liked Halo and I tried to play Marathon because of Halo. Like everything that I knew was like my ground zero. And when Destiny came out, I played that. I'm like, I don't know if I like it. Like it's got the shooting mechanics. It's kind of sci-fi. So it feels kind of like Halo, but like I don't know, the numbers that are coming up on this guy's head, and it just takes forever. And then like I played it again, and 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 this is like the alpha.
Yeah.
And then I think at some point I invited Nerd Generalist over, and I was like, you gotta play this. I think it's fun.
I think it's fun, guys.
So uncertain. And I remember like him coming over and he's like, this isn't the type of game that you would like. I'm like, I think I like it a lot. And I don't know why. Like it just took me getting used to something different.
Yeah.
And then I was like mildly obsessed. Like I had it at launch. I had a crew of people that I eventually started to raid with that I met at work. And I played the shit out of it. I don't want to know how many hours. And then at some point, Nerd Generalist never really got into it at launch, and then at some point I'm like, hey, Destiny 2 is coming out, I need friends to play with. My old crew had like kind of like disbanded, and I was like, I need friends. So I remember like, I will buy you, and he was on Xbox and I had an Xbox too, but I again played primarily on PS4, and I was like, I will buy you Destiny 1, like the whatever the bundle is with all the shit, if you will give it an honest try and we play through it together. And we played through like all the story campaign. I started over in Destiny so I could play with my friend, and we played through that shit. And I mean, this is like, that basically takes us up to current, and we bought Destiny 2 at launch and been kind of in the cycle ever since. But it had like a rocky period for me where I like lost the people I played with, and that is such a pivotal thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can survive in Halo being like a solo player because like it's the matchmaking in it is so accommodating for that.
Yeah.
But Destiny, if you don't have friends to play with, or like a group that you can play with, or I guess even in like an LFG at the bare minimum, you're really only getting, I would say, like 25% of the game.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But man, I like it, and I like it. There's something in the DNA that Bungie does that you can tell it's a Bungie game,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes me, it draws me to it. I think I'm definitely a Bungie fan for life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I had just, I I played the alpha on PlayStation. I was like, I guess I'll play it on PlayStation. I was more of an Xbox guy, but then like when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out, I ended up getting a PlayStation 4 because all my friends jumped from Xbox 360 to PlayStation 4, and we have been hearing about Destiny, and I was like, okay, yeah, if I'm going to play with friends, I guess, I got to go where my friends were, and plus they had all that extra, the promise of extra content for the PlayStation players and stuff.
I forgot about Monte Carlo.
Hawkmoon also.
Hawkmoon.
God, man, all that extra strike, that really terrible strike. Also, remember side tangent. Speaking of extra content, remember the Red Bull quest?
No.
Yeah, there was a Red Bull quest where you got a Red Bull Sparrow.
I had the Sparrow, but I don't remember what the quest was.
Yeah, I don't remember what the quest was either, but I just remember like there was like if you bought Red Bull, you had to enter this code on the in Bungie, and then it sent it to your PlayStation. It was weird.
Remember the Alexa Ghost?
Yeah, I almost bought one when they were $10.
So I did. I have it. I still have one.
They're really expensive now.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're like over $100 now.
What?
Yeah.
I bought it. So I asked my mom to get me one for Christmas, and she did. And this was when they were like $80 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got it, I was like, oh, you still have to have like an Alexa device to use it. And I could use my phone. And I was like, $80. It wasn't even like its own. I have no idea why it's not just like an Echo, or one of those little pucks inside of a Ghost shell. Like I have no idea, especially when it costs more.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed that I was like, you should return this. And then like the week she returned it, they were down to $10, and then I just bought one.
Yeah.
Bought it again. I was like, I'll have it for $10. Yeah. That's fine.
But like I played the alpha, and I was like, what people were talking about was like it's like Halo meets Fallout meets Borderlands, and I'm like, I like some of those things. I like Halo.
Hopefully it's the good parts of those things.
Borderlands is okay, but I never really played it because, friends didn't want to play with me because I'm not very good at the looter shooter at that time. So, plus I just didn't have the time to grind it out with my one friend that I used to play games with. Like when he got home from work, all he would do was play games. He'd go to bed, go to work, come home from work, play games till he went to bed. Like it's
a life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he still does that. I haven't talked to him since like the pandemic really started. I've texted him a few times, but
it's just a skeleton holding a controller.
I mean, yeah, could be. But like I started playing it, and then I was playing it. I played through the campaign, and like I didn't really understand that light level system because like you leveled up to level 20 like a normal RPG, right? Where like, okay, my level's 20. Oh, I got this chest piece. Oh, my level went up to 25 by wearing this chest piece. Oh, well, this chest piece is technically better, but your level dropped. So what do I do? And then I was like, I don't really understand this system. And I didn't really have that friend connection to like, hey, what is this all about? What do I do? Right. So I was just like, I played through the campaign, and I was like, I played a couple PvP things, and I was like, what's this raid thing? And I was like, oh, well, you have to have friends. Well,
Fuck.
Yeah, kind of. So I just kind of put it down until Dark Below came out, and then I played through that campaign. I'm like, this is fun to shoot stuff, I guess, but I don't really understand. I don't understand Destiny, and it was like, I like the concept. The shooting was fun, and then like the Titan just appealed to me. I was like, oh, well, this is clearly the Halo stand-in character, so I'm just going to be this guy. But then it wasn't really until House of Wolves came out where my friend was like, "Hey, you should come over and play Destiny." And I'm like, "Okay." And it was around the time where I was like really starting to get into like podcasting and stuff. And he actually like showed me how Destiny worked. And hey, there's this really hard thing called Skolas. We should do that, but you need to level up. I'm like, okay, well, teach me. So we went through that, and he was like, hey, you do podcasts and stuff, right? I'm like, yeah. He was like, we should do a Destiny podcast where I basically just teach you how to play Destiny on the show. I'm like, okay, that's a neat concept and stuff. And that show's still out there on YouTube. I don't know if it's on podcast feeds or not, but it's still out there on YouTube if you want to find it. I've actually thought about putting those files up on the Tower Casuals channels just for like shits and giggles, whatever. But then like the moments of triumph, that first moments of triumph was like this really big deal, and all of our friends started jumping into Destiny because the Taken King looked awesome, right? Like they had started really promoting it. That live action trailer was really cool. The one where they're like invading the Dreadnought and shooting Oryx in the face with a shotgun, and it was really cool. I really miss those live action trailers, honestly.
They
Destiny.
were even the very like the launch trailer, like I remember like Venus Baby, like that, like where they're playing the immigrant song from Led Zeppelin, like that. I would wager that if you were to watch it now, like it's probably still really good.
It is. I actually went back and watched them yesterday, 2 days ago.
But that's Activision money there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what all of that is.
Yeah.
And that stuff is basically stopped.
Yeah.
When they departed, which I mean, it makes sense. I like Destiny as more of the boutique game than the huge tentpole.
Yeah.
That it once was.
Yeah. So the big thing was we have to do the moments of triumph. I was like, okay, what do we need to do? Well, we need to run Vault of Glass because you've never raided. I'm like, okay, cool, great, let's do that. So one weekend I went over there and we did Vault of Glass and Crota's End back to back. And I was like, wow, this is a really cool experience. He's like, this is what Destiny is kind of about. It's not the campaign, like the campaigns are fun and everything, but it's the end game that you want to be in. I'm like, you're right. This is fun. Let's do this. And we actually got a raid team, and we actually used to raid every Wednesday night on 3 characters to the point where like we were clearing Kingsfall in under 45 minutes, and we would do that 3 times a week. Like we were that efficient. And that's like, ever since then, it's just been like, okay, this is awesome. But then when Destiny 2 came out, I mean, we obviously, a lot of people got older. A lot of people kind of dropped off Destiny when Destiny 2 came out. Leviathan wasn't exactly King's Fall or Wrath of the Machine or even Vault. You know, it was just kind of like, it was fun. It was fine, but it wasn't what people wanted, and people just kind of fell off, you know, and they were still playing on PlayStation, and then some of my friends from work started playing on Xbox, so I was like trying to keep up with a character on PlayStation and a character on Xbox, and it just got real, like, it was really hard to do, you know?
Right.
And, now with crossplay and everything, it's like, in cross save and everything, it's just real easy to do now, but so I've had my ups and downs with Destiny, but like probably since I would say since the Taken King, I've been like really just, it's the game I keep coming back. It's like the comfort food game. You know how kind of Halo is for you? Like Destiny is kind of my comfort food game where I'll just like, if I need to relax or whatever, I just jump in and do some bounties or strikes or do the pinnacle stuff. And I don't know, Destiny just, it helped me through some things. It really like just, I made a lot of friends, you know, I've met a lot of people through Destiny. It's like this, Bungie does a really good job of creating this communal experience, you know, and
yeah,
it's, I mean, Josh and I met through the Sleeper Simulant quest. line from Destiny 1. Like we were in a we were in a group called Sleeper Simulant Quest, and there was like probably 10, 12 people in there, and that's how we met. So it's just been a really interesting game from a communal perspective, you know.
I think it's weird that the one part that about your Destiny experience when it first came out and mine are the same is that, like, I didn't understand most of what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
but I liked something enough that I just kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what Bungie does in their games like that, but they're really good at whatever that is. Like, they find like a way to get a little hook in you, and it's
Mm-hmm.
enough to be like, I need to do that again, and I don't exactly know why,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like to do it again. And
Mm-hmm.
you do it again, and then you're like, yeah, I think I want to keep doing it. I don't know if I like it though. And
Yeah.
you just keep. You're like, yep, I'm gonna do it one more time and see if I like it. And it's like you
Mm-hmm.
still don't like. I could not have articulated, and I still can't, why I kept playing the game whenever I started. But
Yeah.
it definitely it grabs something in you, and you're like, yep, I like this.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just like having the courage to say it at some point, like, I like this game.
yeah. It wasn't about like the shooting or the level design, or that wasn't the problem at launch of Destiny 1, right? It was like I I played so few RPGs and so few games where you like level up or whatever up to that point, just because those
Mm-hmm.
weren't the games I was into. Like I had been playing Halo 3 and Gears for a whole generation, you know
Mm-hmm.
uh to the point where like you don't level up in those games at all. Halo has what, 12 weapons that you can cycle through, and it's like, oh, this is neat. And then you go to Destiny, and you get in that launch, and there's like, oh well, I have to dismantle weapons. Oh, I have to. What's the difference between a white and a blue weapon? Or you know what I mean? Like I was so new to like the Western RPG style game that
Mm-hmm.
I was just so lost from the beginning, and I think that kind of hindered my initial experience. But then when friends drag you in, and you're like, oh, like you said, I like it. I think, like, once I started understanding it, and then we would do strikes and grind the strikes, and they're like, yeah, we got to keep doing these. Oh, I okay, I like it, I think. And then once you start like, then once they just changed everything, like, it was history. Also, the highlight of Destiny 1 for me was my friend had played it for like 600 or 700 hours at that point, or something stupid, when House of Wolves came out, and Prison of Elders had come out, and we ran through Prison of Elders, and the second exotic I ever got was Galahorn, and he hadn't gotten it yet, and it was pretty funny to watch his face. He's like, because like I didn't know the Galahorn issue at all. Like, people had played forever and never got it, and then some people who didn't play a lot just got it.
Yeah. Well, that's Vault was the first raid that I did. Obviously, it was the first one, but it was one of those things where it's like, I feel like I just figured out kind of like part of the cool part about Destiny. It was like definitely the secrets
Mm-hmm.
was a big hook. But like when you do Vault for the first time, especially once you've played so much of the campaign and like technically like the multiplayer part of it, like the Crucible, which is like nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do a raid and you're just like, whoa, it feels so foreign. Like, you're just like, how was all this here, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like know about it,
Mm-hmm.
because no one was really. That was before like a lot of people were doing videos about it, or at least before I was like watching videos
Mm-hmm.
about stuff like this. So I had no idea that was really there, or that any of that experience, like what it looked like or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And my first exotic was Hawkmoon. It was playing on PlayStation, and I just remember that was the thing that everyone was chasing. And like, I was in the same boat where it's just like I didn't really know how to like level up my gear or what gear to use or like stats wise. So I definitely was like, I'm sure I was very generously being carried through the raid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being like, I got Hawk Moon. Is it good? And like everyone lost their shit at me. And like, what do you mean? Is it good? It's like this guy's got Hawk Moon. Like he doesn't even know what to do with it. And it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. And
Yeah.
then I remember using it and being like, oh, this is fun. Hawk Moon, the new version of Hawk Moon, just does not feel the same to me.
No.
But whatever. I
Well,
also don't care. Like it shouldn't have to feel the same. It's still a fun game to play. There's plenty of other weapons
yeah.
that I can use. But like, man, the secrets. Do you remember that one, that like white hive gun that you could get? Shit.
What?
And if you did that, you could. Yes.
Necromancer, right?
Yeah, and then you do that, and then you transform it into another gun, and then if you transform it again, like all that tiny stuff like that was so cool.
Or like the
All
first
the
time
hidden
somebody
ghosts.
found the black spindle mission.
We just go a different way.
Yeah.
What happens if you just go a different way?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a quest for a gun.
Yeah.
What?
Or like the binary code for Outbreak in
Wait,
the Wrath of
nuts.
the Machine. Or
Nuts.
yeah. It was cool. Like I kind of feel like Destiny 2 is still missing some of that. Like the secret style stuff.
Yeah, they definitely made it more accessible in a lot of ways that stuff. But with the game being as mainstream as it is now, and with YouTube and content creation being what it is now, like I would say that we don't know if that stuff actually doesn't really exist or if it's just like
It's just like
all so present.
yeah, it's just like within the first hour that it's available, somebody found it and there's already videos and already breakdowns and strategies and whatever, like
Yes. But like that didn't exist. I mean, it existed then, but you had to like seek it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at some of this old concept art from Destiny 1 and it's just like, man, some of this stuff just like never made it in. Like the giant frog enemy that's
yeah.
Just man.
Well, they had like the companions too, didn't they? Have companions in a couple of
yeah,
them?
there's like these white tiger style like there's probably going to be some sort of like a ranger class that could tame animals or whatever, and then that whole storyline where like depending on what class you picked it depended on the first third of the campaign that you played through, which was really cool. And like how the Taken King was actually part of the original storyline, and the Crow was actually supposed to be like some sort of main character on in the Cosmodrome at that point, and he wasn't Aldrin at that point. He was still just the Crow. And man, when they showed it off, which is when they showed Destiny off at E3 2013, that opening mission where they just fly into that zone where you wake up instead of waking up, and he runs through the mission with Thunderlord, and you see all these Guardians fighting that big tank or whatever. And
also Joe Staten's name in it was Oryx something, wasn't it?
Oryx BNG, Oryx Bungie was his name in there, which is like, man, that's it's all just, man, that whole reveal was super cool. And that opening mission just never made it into the game that way, and it's actually part of the New Light quest now. Like it's in there now. Which, by the way, New Light quest still sucks.
I would say that any game like this, when we've talked about it, like a live service game, has that fundamental issue of
onboarding players.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Like, so Fallout 76, I played that at launch. I played the massive shit show that was the launch, and part of me was just curious to be like, is it really that bad? And there was like a moment where I was just like, I'm gonna have to put this down. I don't think this is really a playable game. And then I picked it up again and I was like, oh, it's better. and I played through a little bit, and then when Nerd got back into it, like, I'm gonna actually level up a character and actually commit some time to it, and I did it, and even that is still like, what's this money for? What is this thing for? Why do I have to break this down? What happens with all this junk? Like what? Like there's so many moving parts.
And there's less currency to keep track of now than there was. Remember, like the Ascendant. What were they? Like not the Ascendant shards, but the Ascendant light or whatever. And like you had to combine them to make the Ascendant orbs, and then you use the orbs to level up your vault armor. And it was just like, wow, what is all this crap?
So do you remember Motes of Light?
Yeah.
So this is like how dumb I am with stuff like that. But there was also like they may have said something at some point on how to level it up early on, but it was before I like had the equipment to use it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember being like having, I don't remember how many Motes of Light I had, but it was a lot because I had never used them.
Yeah.
And playing with my one friend, and he's like, well, you should get Hung Jury. It's a good roll or something at the faction vendor or whatever. I'm like, how do I do that? And he's like, well, you can use these Motes of Light. And I'm like, oh, it's like, I don't think I have any of those. He's like, well, did you use them all? I'm like, I don't know what they are. He's like, well, you should have some then. And I forget how many. I'm like, I have this many. He's like, oh my God. He's like, go spend them. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know I could just do that. Remember leveling up your armor and having to like unlock all the perks that it had.
God, remember the subclass stuff too, where you like the bubbles in the subclass and you had to like, they were tied to experience and everything. Oh man, that was.
I think I still have D1 on my Xbox.
I definitely do. It's on my Xbox though, and I only played through the Taken King with this character because I was like, well, I kind of want to play on Xbox and catch up with my friends because D2, like, you know, my friend and I just kind of sat down and we're like, we should play through D1, and then we got like most of the way through, and then we're like, no, we should go back to D2.
Yeah, it's tough going back. Like I remember whenever D2 came out and switching over and be like, oh, it does look better, but like in my mind, never thinking how much better it looked. And it's tough now because if you're playing on like a current generation console, so like an XS or PS5 or PC, like it's a lot better. But I honestly couldn't tell you what Destiny 2 looks like at 30 frames a second.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Not good, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I booted it up on my Xbox One X after I got my Series X just to like compare it, and it was like, I was like, it's so unplayable. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that it was unplayable. It's just like this feels so slow, and it definitely feels less responsive, and it was just like, man, I just done with this Xbox, I guess. So,
well, I mean, for now, you can use it as a xCloud console soon.
You could, but it's just sitting in the basement with all the rest of my Xboxes that are unplugged at the moment. So
I need to go back to in Rise of Iron where you could go to that mountain.
Yeah, Fellwinter's Peak.
Remember climbing the side of that mountain to get all those little, it was like little statues or something that you could
they were I forget what they were, like the statues. Remember the statues inside that you had to like bang on to make a song or whatever?
Oh yeah, you had to do it within a certain time frame.
Yeah, there's my Destiny 1 Titan right there. She looks a lot like my Destiny 2 Titan.
Yeah, mine looks the same too. I didn't have it installed, but I'm downloading it now just to the menu, the fact the UI had such an upgrade. I mean, that looks pretty similar.
Yeah, it's slow though. That 30 frames, slow. 30 frames.
But it looks, everything looks, the textures and everything look kind of bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you when we get into the tower how bad it looks.
Oh, it's not great. But everything's muddy.
Yeah.
No HDR there.
No. Man, I gotta tell you, man, this is
memories.
Memories, and they should probably just stay that way at this point.
It's better in your mind. It's always going to be better how you remember it than actually how it was.
Yeah. I'm excited that they're bringing King's Fall back though. It's 60 frames a second and some better gear and supers. And... Oh, jeez! Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you go over to the Eververse vendor, and there's like the fan that you could like fly up on top.
Oh yeah. Access Silver Dust store.
Do you have any silver dust?
Oh my gosh, 30 frames. What the heck? I'm getting sick.
Always.
I don't like it.
Selling those glows.
Yeah.
That was like such a big thing.
Why can't I get up here? This tower is full though. I'll give it that credit. Oh well.
I wonder how many servers they have dedicated to Destiny 1 at this point. Can't be many.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know.
I should write in and be like, I thought you guys did cross save. I booted up Destiny 1. I couldn't play with my PlayStation 4 people. Light level 335.
Wow. Wow, I don't even have my Striker Titan leveled up. That's sad.
I mean, my Destiny 1 character on Xbox 2 is pretty bare bones. Because if we play it on PlayStation 4, I should download it on PS4 and see what it's like.
Yeah.
That was the one really sad point in my Destiny career, though, when Destiny 2 came out, and I, at that point, had switched over. So I played primarily on PlayStation. The tail end of D1, I switched to Xbox. And then for D2, it was just Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all the title cards, it was like, here's all the stuff you did. It was like, you didn't do jack shit.
I know.
You did nothing. And I was like, but I did do things.
I know. My PlayStation title cards were way more impressive than the Xbox ones.
Yep. It's kind of sad. But you go where your friends are. I mean, that's, again, like, the community aspect. Like, if every one of my friends played Destiny somewhere else, that's where I would have to play Destiny. I mean, not now, I guess.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't matter.
Now it doesn't matter. So
it's a Linkin Park song.
In the end, it doesn't even matter. Speaking of the end, Joe, do we want to do Lore Corner, or do we just we want to end it here?